Welcome in, Scene Scarlet. Hello. Hi, y'all. Hello, Red Raiders. It's Sibby. I'm here with Shelby. Y'all know the drill. We have a lot to catch up on and a lot to preview for next week. We got things like soccer, the team who is still undefeated, Shelby. You know.
Yeah,
We know.
let's go.
Yeah. Now that
Beat
y'all
the
know.
undefeated team to get there, too. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Made my weekend better, but continue.
Spoiler alert. Well, duh. Obviously, you would know that if we said they were undefeated. So, Texas Tech traveled to Arizona. We're going to give y'all up to date what happened there. Good things. And then we got some football to talk about and volleyball to talk about and some basketball to talk about. We got all of it. So settle in. Welcome in. Let's get to it. How are you doing, Shelby? You ready to dive into this or what?
I'm ready to go. It was a up and down weekend for Texas Tech sports. I get the football didn't turn out how we wanted it to, which we'll get into. But I thought overall it was a positive week for Texas Tech sports if you can open your mind to the fact that it's not all about beating Oregon. There's other sports happening and other things happening. And I thought the atmosphere was great. And all sorts of sports teams had recruits in town this weekend, which we'll talk about with the women's basketball side. They had some like star-studded ones. Men's basketball had some star-studded players on campus. I think some of the other sports I saw had people on campus. They took advantage of the atmosphere that was going to be this Oregon game, which is the biggest non-con game that Texas Tech's had in years at home. I can't think of another one that was that big. So it was a really good weekend. It would have been great if they won, but that's what we're going to focus on. And we'll break down what we thought of football and things they can get better on. Listen, there's things, but the atmosphere was cool, and we'll let Sibby talk about that too. She was there, so she can give you the firsthand experience on it. But first, before we get to football, we got to give the gals their shine because they are undefeated, 6-0. And 2. They have 2 draws now, right?
They have 2 draws, correct.
And now we head into Big 12 play where it's all about just surviving. Those I don't want draws, but I mean, at this point, draws or wins will get you to the tournament, I think, because we did a good job in non-con. So, Sibby, what happened this weekend? We'll let you break down the win and the draw against the Arizona schools over in the heat on the road.
Oh my gosh!
And then we'll preview our first 2 Big 12 matchups that start on Thursday at home. If you're listening, get to John Walker on Thursday. I think 7:00 for the first Big 12 match of the season, and then Sunday we are on the road to take on our vaunted evil rival.
Let them know.
Sibby.
Oh, gosh. I know. We have so much. Yeah, so much to cover. So if y'all didn't know, Texas Tech Soccer went and conquered the entire state of Arizona this past weekend. And we're going to tell y'all how they did it a little bit. And it starts, I think what's tough about playing all these schools in the same state is like Arizona State, Arizona, like who I'm referring to. But I'm always going to say Arizona State and then Arizona just as a clarity. But we played Arizona first, and this was when we talked about this in a preview. It's almost like we nailed it. We nailed the preview of this team and what it was going to be like for us, and I think it was a good start of finally feeling confident and okay, we're playing some good teams now. How is Texas Tech going to show up? How is our, we've talked about how deep our roster is. Let's find out how deep they actually are.
You saw that in that heat.
I was about to say the
early minutes too.
Y'all, it was like almost 100 degrees at 10 a.m. their time. Like
and
every
at
time.
Night, the first game, the Arizona game that you're talking about right now, was at night, and it was they still had to have water breaks. It started at like 9 p.m.
Blistering hot. So it just made me think of when we sent them out to Arizona when we played. It was really hot here in Lubbock, but oh my goodness, it was nuts. Anyway, so back to Arizona, the team. The goalkeeper that we talked about on their side, Hope Heisey, she was so relentless during that game that the score could have been a lot different if a few of those shots went in. But I'm happy with what we got. We ended up tying with Arizona. 1-1. And like you said, Shelby, I think sometimes like those are wins too. I definitely felt that with Arizona, just not knowing what else to expect. But yeah,
the team definitely wanted those 3 points. You saw that in the way they talked before and after the game. So we appreciate that about them, and I think they probably earned it, deserved it, but didn't earn it, I guess is the way to put it. They just didn't put it in the back of the net. But especially that PK is the one that kind of burns in my mind, and the rebound off the PK. But that, like you said, that goalkeeper was, I mean, they were just great saves. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap. But yeah, at least we didn't lose,
At least we didn't lose. And the goal came from Sam Courtright, which is really exciting. We've talked about her a lot, a freshman. Yeah, that's her second goal of the season, and assisted by none other than who, Shelby?
Macy, the magician Blackburn. Like, this girl is so... It's one thing to be good, but she's so intense. That's what we're seeing as these games get closer, and that's what I'm loving more and more about her, because... Listen, there's athletes in all sports that are just really gifted and really good, but then there's athletes that have that little bit of extra that just want it.
Secret sauce.
She wants it, and she is out there serving up balls, and she at the end of this game, she kept giving us perfect chances. And perfect's a strong word, but like it's not like we were messing them up. The keeper just kept stopping them, but she was relentless. She was not going to stop until we scored another goal to win. And you could tell how frustrated she was. I'm thinking of that very last chance, and there was like 5 minutes remaining where she got it over, and Kerr had a chance, but that defender in the box, it was just brilliant defending, got it out of there. But Macy Blackburn, y'all, watch her play. She's so consistent, and she's such a good leader. Like, I could see her being the captain of this team as she goes on in her years and gets older. Yeah. She just has that intensity about her. I think that's what I've always loved her game, but as we got into these like real games, so to speak, no offense to our previous opponents, but these real teams where it's close action, you can see how much she wants to win, and that's what you need on this team. There's other people on the team that do that too, and we'll definitely talk about that in the second game here at Arizona State, but you see that in her, and you saw that in this goal. She's just gonna. This one she just kind of touched it over to Sam, but she had plenty of other great balls as well. Yeah. So she's brilliant, and we're blessed to have her.
Really, and you're so right on the intensity piece too. And I saw that when I was watching them one home game, and I was sitting on the fence, so where you're right next to the players, because nobody wants to stand in the sun. And I remember watching Macy. It's always fun to watch her because she's making plays for her teammates way in advance, so you kind of see her field of vision and how she does it. But it's why she's so good at this game. It's so good. It's so challenging to do. And then I remember her like yelling at her teammates of like, I need you to be here. And I'm thinking like, she's so intentional about that direction, because she's like, I know I can get you the ball for you to score or like to make this connection. Like, please do it. And that's what we need. You need that intensity to say like, I know we can make this happen. I'm going to continue to serve it, and I need you to be here.
It's what they missed last year.
Yeah.
When she was type of player in her position on the field. There's other players that have that intensity, but don't play her position. She was gone last year. She's someone that's facilitating things, and she's that relentless. So she's really the maestro out there. She does a lot of stuff. Sam is similar. She plays that same kind of position, and she's doing it as a freshman, but she'll start to learn from Macy that intensity and that sense of urgency to get those goals instead of let them just stay a draw like they did in Arizona. She tried her best. We had that chance at the end, but she didn't. We'll get into it later, but she didn't allow that happen against Arizona State. So Macy Blackburn, can't say enough things about her, but.
You can't, but it was a pretty evenly matched game, which I think was a little bit what we were expecting. We had 12 shots to their 15, so a little bit lower there, but we made them count with our shots on goal. We had 6 compared to their 5. Obviously, those making a connection for both of us. Pretty much equal saves. I think what we noticed or what I noticed from this game is that I'm seeing like what we're talking about with Macy, like giving all of these opportunities and all these chances, which are great, but we just need to start executing on them. Like we have some of these schools that we have that luxury of patience and being able to wait for, the exact perfect goal. But what we'll see, I think, especially in this Arizona State game, is cranking that up a notch of like, okay, we can't really wait that much anymore. We need to capitalize on these opportunities when we get them. So I think we were starting to see that shift in the Arizona game, which I was thankful for, and it was almost necessary for us to compete with that Arizona team. And yeah, we came out quickly like we normally do in our game plan. Ashley and Alex putting pressure early. They had I think both of them had a couple of shots to start the match and say like, okay, this is how we play. This is how we roll. This is our identity. I love to see that. So we're sticking true to ourselves. And yeah, that PK with I think it was a handball, and Alex taking that PK, and y'all, this keeper is brilliant, and it's always such a bummer to miss that opportunity, that PK.
She just guessed correctly, or we'll give her credit, maybe she read something, but that was very impressive to get that stop. But then the rebound was even more impressive. She jumped up and blocked, I think it was Jillian or someone was in the box real quick. Good by her that didn't expect it to go in. She jumped on it real quick, had kind of an open shot, and that girl just jumped up like a ninja and blocked it too. And then she grabbed the ball before Kerr could get the third shot in. So she was just good, and that's going to happen. But I agree. I think it was good to see. This was a good first test against a team that was ranked a little higher. I think they're up in the 50s now in the Massey ratings, which is a solid team to play, and compared to what we had been playing. So it was good to see that we were doing the same things. Like you said, we were still getting a lot of chances. I think the thing that was a little bit concerning in the Arizona game that we cleaned up in the Arizona State game is we allowed Arizona to have a lot of shots on goal compared to what we've been doing. I think it was the first team all year and the only team still that has gotten double-digit shots off on us, which they're a good offensive team. We knew that coming in, so it's not super shocking, and that's not going to be the last time probably, but we definitely were allowing some things that we don't usually allow, and then that led to a goal that they were able to get late and to tie it up. But I think overall it was good to see. It was a good thing to see that our offense was still doing the thing, and it was good to see Maddie White get to do what she does, because she's been kind of she makes the saves when she needs to, but she hasn't had a lot of chances. And against Arizona and then Arizona State for sure, she showed up. She had a great save against Arizona early in that game, a diving stop.
She
and
did
another punch out later, just doing what she does. So it was good to see players have the chance to step up against good competition and get that draw. A draw is a draw. And then we moved on, unless you have other notes on this, then we moved on to Arizona State on Sunday, where my favorite thing besides the win was the announcer. My guy. I still don't know his name. I Googled it for hours, trying to figure out. All I could find was their football play-by-play. I don't know who this guy was. He's clearly their soccer play-by-play guy. I'm assuming for Arizona, unless Arizona State was just wanted to have their radio go. I don't know, but he knew both teams so well.
He did. Yeah.
We do all three play each other quite a bit because Arizona State, and Texas over the last few years. So maybe he just had notes from those games.
I don't know.
But I was super impressed. He was funny. He was well timed.
Yes.
And he knew both teams. And I learned so much about both teams. And I was like, this guy knows more about the Big 12 and Texas Tech than some Texas Tech media members, and I was very impressed by his knowledge of both teams.
And even if it wasn't like he has spent history with the teams or like just knows, but if anything, at minimum he did his homework, which was 1,000%. Just like what a relief to have, because I don't know if y'all know this either, but there were 0 commentators for the game against Arizona, which is just challenging because if the quality of the video isn't the best, like there was no graphics, nothing. They had to pan to the actual scoreboard in the stadium.
We did a space. Y'all missed out on Friday. We were prepared to do it again for y'all, or Thursday, I guess. We were prepared to do it again for y'all on Sunday. We tuned into the game, and our man out there working. So I think that's still available on the Pac-12 network. I'm telling you, the game is a good game, but it's also he has a lot of great information on both of these teams. And he did his homework. He talks about watching film on Texas Tech, and he talks about Giametta, he knew exactly who she was when she entered the game. He knew all about Macy Blackburn, which is not difficult, but she is who she is. But he knew everything about her. He knew about Sam. He knew about our tendencies and how relentless we are. He knew it all, and I was very impressed. So it's a great game to just listen to while you're working. You'll learn a lot, and you'll learn a lot about our team as we head into Big 12 play.
I love that. And I love that with like a women's sport too. You know, like football will never have a day where they don't have that problem. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
what other sport are we sitting here glowing about the broadcasters because it's so rare? I mean, I want to give our TV broadcasters, you don't get to listen to them because you're at the games, but they're really good. I'm going to give them credit. But it's so rare to listen to a commentator on the road know a lot about your own team because they don't do the homework. And this guy did his homework.
Yeah, and it wasn't like there's no shit talking. You know what I mean? Like he was just
so good. It was probably because he was unbiased. I assume he's Arizona's.
He's like, I'm having a great time. I noticed y'all didn't have a person last night or 2 nights ago.
Yeah, I don't know. He must have been doing another sport or something. But I'm glad he made it on Sunday.
Yeah, y'all should go back and watch the game. It's a good game. We won and
just listen to it if nothing else.
Yeah, if y'all can find out who that is.
I've tried.
We've given him a lot of shout outs, but he deserves it. That was really a pleasant surprise. But yeah, so let's kick it into Arizona State. So we knew what we previewed to with Arizona State is like this was going to be another tough match. They ended up, I don't even know what happened with timing, but like this was a day game. It was during the day, so I think the start time, the temperature was around, like it was in the 90s for sure, and got probably
at 9
up to 100
there.
At 9 a.m. So that was an interesting component too of like, okay, there's an element of weather and the heat here. How are we going to play against a competitive Arizona State? One of the things that stuck out to me about the game, we ended up winning 1-0, which there's a lot of things that come with that. So just strap on in, y'all. But what I noticed with this is this whole game, I mean, that goal didn't come until what, the 72nd minute. Yeah, it was really, really late. But the whole time, y'all, we had so like many chances. It was just a matter of time. Shelby and I were texting each other just like stressed. We really wanted to get out with a W from Arizona. A shutout would be great too for reasons that we'll talk about. But there was just so many times that it just was so close. We were so close. It was a game of centimeters, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. But yeah, that's where I, again, like Macy Blackburn was out there just serving them up. Who's going to step up? That's what Macy was asking. Ended up being the person that it should have been.
It made sense
in terms of storyline, and something that's fun. But yeah, we had a nice corner kick from Macy Blackburn in that 72nd minute. She sends a bullet into the box, just hoping somebody will make connection, and none other than our captain, Hannah Anderson, said, "You know what, y'all? I'm gonna come from all the way back there." Let me take care of this. You know what? Let me just take care of this. She heads this ball into the back of the net. It is a laser. It is a statement goal.
She didn't even move. Keeper didn't even move. She was like, well.
Oh, there's a ball in this net back here. I better go get it.
Yeah, there was like a 5-minute window where the announcer, not his fault, because I don't think he had any spotters with him. I don't think he had his scorekeepers with him. He had no idea who scored because there was a scrum down there. And then we didn't either. And then I was like, that had to be Hannah, because she's if there's a header on a corner, it's Hannah. And then so we were like, this was definitely Hannah, and we're celebrating. And then they finally put out the scorebook, finally updated, and it was like Hannah Anderson. So it made sense for a while. Like, who did that? And then you're like, wait, it's a corner. It was a header. Hannah Anderson. That's what she does. She's just.
You're playing Clue.
These two are the same type of that mentality we talked about with Macy. Hannah has that mentality. She just plays on the back line, so different roles. She shuts it down, so she doesn't have the opportunity to create like Macy does and like force the action on the offensive end. But those two were like, no, we're not drawing. You get this over to me, and it's like it's going into the net. She's probably like, Macy, just do what you do. I'm gonna finish this. I've seen you doing this all game. I'm allowed to be up here now. I'm doing what I do, and it's not any shade at the rest of our players. It's just Hannah is great at that. She's fast, she's big, and she is great at what she does. Yeah. And so it was just perfect. It's one of those goals that you can build on, that like when we need to get it done, we can get it done. And
Yep.
that, I know sports psychology, Shelby, but it's true. Like, I believe in that, obviously. I have a background in that. And this is the type of stuff that you build on, because getting a draw here wouldn't have been the end of the world. It wouldn't have hurt you really in the ratings, because Arizona State's a good team. They were undefeated. But mentally, it's great to know that in the crunch time, your two best players, I don't know, but two of your best players, in a way, can come together and get that goal. Even when, I mean, we had neither of our leading goal scorers scored this weekend, and we still come out with no losses. Those are things you can build on and have that confidence as you go into conference that we'll preview in a second. So that's my takeaway, is like, that stuff is just, that means a lot to me. I think it means a lot to I believe in that kind of stuff. And I think they'll be able to carry a lot of that with them.
Oh, completely. I mean, and for it to be those two players in particular, like, you're going to know Macy by the end of the season. Like, she's on track for some...
If you don't know who Macy Blackburn is, wake the hell up.
You're not listening to this channel at all.
Where have you been?
You just mute it, I guess, and then say that you listen to it. And then also, like, with Hannah, and we're kind of skipping ahead, but it's kind of almost the elephant in the room, but Madison White, this recording her 30th shutout, leading the program. We talked about this last episode, or all episodes with the season. But the fact that Hannah, like, getting your 30th clean sheet with a tie is like, okay, but you got out with a win. Ooh, and the person that scored the goal is the person that has been, showing up for
those clean
each other.
Sheets are, and Madison will say the same thing. That's a teammate thing. And
that
Cassie Taylor's been here the whole time too. Like, all these seniors, Elise Anderson, all these defenders that have been here the whole tenure of Madison White's career, all of them have, their names should be under that list. And obviously Madison's done the heavy lifting on the saving the goals, but they stop a lot of them from getting there. So then to see Hannah get the goal, I think that was really cool and it fitting. That's one of those sports meant to be moments. Is like,
it totally is.
We're getting a clean sheet record, and our defender captain is going to be the one that scores the goal to also get us a win in that game. It just made sense.
And it describes Hannah's personality so well too, of, like, we've been talking about that intensity. And if y'all haven't watched the interview with both Hannah and Madison, they talk about the way that they talk about their experiences, you can tell how much they care, and like the energy that they provide the game. So it was almost like Madison sending Hannah by proxy of like, go do this. And she sends it in, and like I said, I think it was like a statement goal, and kind of talking about what you were talking about too, of like, that we can do this. We can, when somebody needs to step up.
This is not fake. This is not fake news. This is not just bad opponents or whatever that we've been playing. It's something, and it helps the younger players too, because they know, like, when we need it, these leaders aren't talk. They're not just talk. They are action players. They will get it done, and they can. You don't have to press, because there's been games where we've blown people out, but we said that before these Arizona and Arizona State games last week. We said, guys, we've been spoiled. Things are going to get tighter. They did. But this team, to be able to be like, multiple games now have been able to score late. In these tighter games, we did it against Denver in the exhibition. We did it against New Mexico on the road. We should have won that game. We then allowed a goal, but it was also in the 70th minute or 80th minute. We did this one. So, like, to have that comfort level to not press and to just keep hacking, keep knocking. Call. Yeah. Because, yes, we're not finishing all the chances, but that's soccer. You know what I mean? That's soccer. Like, if everybody finished all the chances they got, these scores would be like 20. It would be football scores. And so, like, that's soccer. And to have the attitude where we're just going to keep knocking and keep pushing and not get discouraged. Like, if I had to put one word on this team, actually, let's do it together. But we might have the same word. On 3, say the word that describes this team. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Relentless. Let's go. I mean, it's
That's
obvious.
That's the Scene Scarlet connection.
I mean, I bet the listeners said the same thing, because we say it all the time.
So much, yeah.
We say it all the time, and this team does. They're just relentless, and to be able to then have the results, because you can talk about it, you can preach it in practice, you can preach it in games, but then to have the results where we're consistently finding that goal late when we really need to.
Yeah.
In the games that we've drawn, it's been because we somehow allowed some random goal after that. But we cleaned that up. I thought we talked about the clean sheet. I would like to give, they don't get a lot of the shine. We talk about Hannah a lot, but I thought Cassie Taylor, who I think they call her French. Taylor. I don't know the story there. I thought she played really well. And then she had a couple of really impressive headers late. I was like, who was that? And then you look back, it was her to clearances. I was just like, clearing the ball was so beautiful. We clearly had to talk about that because that goal, we didn't talk about the goal that happened in Arizona. It was a clearance issue on our behalf. We just couldn't clear the ball. Yeah. And that's how they got their goal on Thursday. On Sunday, these defenders were like, no. It was out of there. It was out of there. It was out of there. It was out of there.
In the parking lot. Yeah.
So it was, I thought they were great in this game. All of them that came in, Elise, Kylie, Macy, we talk about her offensively. She is a defensive. She's an outside back. She is a defender listed on the roster. It's wild, but she is a great defender as well. All of them do great work back there. Oh yeah, and have a part in these clean sheets for sure.
It is. It's so cool to see the continued evolution. The players that we talk about so often, like that stays true. But we're also seeing a lot of new faces and people kind of settling into their own. Jillian Martinez being a great example. She's had a couple of strikes over this weekend, and she's so dangerous. If you give her space, you're going to have problems if you're playing against her. So I love seeing her getting more minutes, getting more shots off too, because once those two things settle, it's going to be awesome.
Was that the Arizona State game where she had that like finesse chip that almost went in, just went over the bar?
Yeah.
It was nice. It was just a little too high.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, but those things are gonna, you're learning. She's taking in that information, and it's up to her of what she does with it. And we saw some good shots too, and some shine and recognition for Caitlin Giametta. I think the commentator too talked about how powerful she is, and I'm like, okay, this guy gets it. But yeah, Caitlin, what I've loved to watch her play is that she's definitely getting more confident, stronger each game. And it's almost like, okay, we have a lot of power. How can we train in this accuracy? It's almost like I'm watching her find that perfect combination of strength and accuracy. And then once she finds that,
she's on goal now. It's progress because early in the season it was like bazookas right off frame. Now she had two bazookas, one off her leg and one off her head, both on frame. The first one was
header,
perfectly aimed. It was just like a diving save by the keeper. The second one was, I mean, what else can she do? But it was right at like in the middle of the goal, so the keeper just made like a Superman jump up to block it. But you called someone only a matter of time, or whoever that was earlier in the season. That's Giametta. She doesn't have her first collegiate goal yet, but she every game is knocking. Like, it's gonna happen. Let's put it in the call. She's getting it on Thursday against Houston.
Put it in the books. Put it in the book. All right, great. There you go, Caitlin. We figured out the game plan. Tell Tom we got it.
You're welcome. No problem.
Just tell.
Send us the check in the mail.
And the other side of that too, Elise Anderson, she again, like, there's so many players that are just so fun to watch. Elise Anderson is so calculated. She reminds me a lot of like Macy Blackburn in terms of getting the passes exactly where they need to go. She's just on the flip side of that, just always looking out for those passes. She had that ball to Giametta for that header that almost went in.
Nice.
But it sailed. So Elise Anderson sailed that ball in that Giametta was sandwiched between two defenders. She somehow got that ball in the perfect position for the header. And I'm like, Elise Anderson, can you stay here forever?
I know. I wish she had.
Just checking in.
Maybe she low-key has a COVID year and we don't know about it.
Yeah, that's always a fun surprise.
She's a senior, but I think she might be a fifth year. Oh well.
But yeah, I love this game. Like we talked about, very relentless. I really liked too what Tom had to say. He talked about how sometimes a game will come down, like those big games and those close games will come down to a big player or a big play. And for that game, it was Blackburn and Anderson, and two huge stakeholders in this team, and who was stepping up. And yeah, I think it's always it's improvement. It's significant improvement. With Madison White's record now broken, Shelby and I have been joking about this. We were like, okay, cool, almost
Done.
like I'm glad we got that checked off, because I'm sure Madison's also wanting to be like, okay, enough about me. Let's get on to the team and like, get ready for Big 12 play. So I think this was the perfect weekend for us to do really well in Arizona. Better than I would have expected us to be. And I feel really, really good for us going into Big 12 play against Houston coming up this week, y'all, on Thursday. I think it'll be a great intro to Big 12 play, and for it to be at home after a really successful weekend in Arizona. Like, let's keep the heat. Not that much heat, but some
we
of
don't
the
want
heat.
desert
please.
heat, but
We already have enough of that.
Yeah. People say Lubbock is a desert. No. That was a desert.
Yeah, for real. And it's supposed to be
but
colder.
get to
when
the game.
Anyway.
Is
Yes.
is it cooling down in Texas? Okay.
We're having a cooler week, y'all.
Wow.
It's great. Lubbock loves it. It looks good on us. But yeah, so Houston coming up.
Bring the
and let me share a little bit what I learned about Houston.
Cougars,
from
what's up?
the research that I'm able to find, which we have gone a lot of times around this merry-go-round, but I think they've only played each other once before, Texas Tech and Houston, and they played them last year where they won 3-0 in Lubbock. So Houston coming back to see their fate again this year. And Houston...
By they, you mean us, right?
What do you mean?
You said they won 3-0. We won or they won?
Yeah, the Texas Tech Red Raiders won.
Okay, I was like, wait, we
1.
lost to Houston?
Or sorry, 3-0. Sorry.
Okay,
God.
okay, go on.
Good luck, y'all, deciphering that. So Houston, as a program on its own, they're actually having one of their best starts in program history. They had 6 consecutive wins. They have now lost. They lost to Texas State last Sunday, 1-0, and some of the notable wins that I was able to see from their roster, and we'll talk a little bit about this too, but they won against Rice, La Tech, Houston Christian, and Shelby and I were talking about this before we started recording. We're in that pre-conference play. It's kind of difficult to know how teams are going to show up against Texas Tech or Texas State or Houston. So we're seeing a lot of teams settle, and we can definitely correlate different games with different teams and see if they beat them, we should beat them. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place, all up in the air. But yeah, Houston's sitting 6-1-1. They have a leading goal scorer, Cameron Maddox, who has been playing a ton, and yeah, she's leading their team with their goal scorers. And on the defending side, Alex Whitcraft is a defender that is seeing a ton of minutes, definitely making an impact. So those are the 2 players on the Houston side that I'm going to look forward to. But I think this is a statement type of game of Big 12 play. It's at home. It's a night game. All of the elements are perfect for y'all to be there and experience this team that is still undefeated. And we've played some pretty decent teams throughout our course so far. So yeah, let's keep that going. That's what I'm excited about for Thursday.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those we don't know.
You don't know.
This is we got to play Arizona, so we kind of know. I don't know if Houston quite knows yet. Yeah. What they do or don't have. I'm very confused by that Texas State loss on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm also confused as to why they're having senior night.
Yeah.
Pre-conference. That doesn't give you. I feel like that's maybe that's a normal thing for them. To me, that's we want to give our seniors a chance to win on senior night, and so we're doing it before conference.
Right.
They don't have confidence in their ability to win a conference game late in the year. Maybe they have a really tough late schedule. Maybe they play BYU, Texas, and UCF in the year. I don't know what their schedule is. Maybe it's something wild. And so they just didn't feel like they had an opportunity. But that sports
Isn't
psychology,
that wild?
to me, you're sending a message to your team on that, and then they lost anyway. So that was a weird choice. But perhaps that is a normal thing at the University of Houston that they do every year no matter what. And in that case, more power to them.
Right.
But I thought that was odd.
I agree.
Again, I don't know if I was like, oh, maybe they just started their seniors and it was like everyone got the night off except for the seniors. And it was like a whole thing, like basically like we're not trying to win, we're trying to rest for Big 12 play. And then I looked and all of their leading scorers started that game. So
yeah.
Anyway, it just wasn't their night, I guess.
It reminded me a lot of I think it was like the senior night for the women's basketball team last year, right? Or like something was weird
they
on
just
that.
did it. They just did it. They didn't do it on usually senior night's the last home game. That's
right.
Like the norm. It's the last time they play in that thing.
Right.
Women's basketball did it like to the second to the last one, and it was confusing, but apparently it was because the parents wanted to come, and this last home game was in the middle of the week. So at least there was a reason for that. I still thought it was odd because no fans were going to be there because it was like at the same time as the first baseball game of the year.
That's right.
Anyway, but this is really weird. But again, I don't know Houston's traditions, so I just didn't think it was weird. But that's not neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. It is their first Big 12 game, though.
It is. Yeah. And Houston too, like just at the standings of where we're at right now in the Big 12, so y'all kind of have an idea of who's doing what. BYU is leading the Big 12. They're very good. They have not lost. They're 7-0. And number
National
2,
championship potential good.
I know they are, and they have been. So like, there's a history of excellence there. And second place in standings right now is Texas Tech Red Raiders, y'all know. And following us is Houston, Texas, Oklahoma State, UCF, and so on. So
if you'd like the rankings by Massey, because
let's hear this. This is exactly
this
what I wanted to hear.
Of a real breakdown,
yes.
On like what because the rankings again, non-con is non-con.
I cannot wait
but
to hear this.
BYU is ranked second in Massey. Second.
Who's first?
It's not UCLA because they beat UCLA. Florida State.
Florida State
is 5-0. God, their stats are stupid. They're second in offense in the country and second in defense. I will say BYU is only 20th in defense. Their offense is just first. Only 20th.
Dude,
maybe we can get some
soccer's so cool. Okay, keep going.
Texas is 16th. We will play them on Sunday, which you'll break down in a minute. They haven't played a lot of great teams yet, so we'll see if that holds up. But we'll test them. But they're very good offensively, and they've been scoring a lot of goals. They're 16th in Massey. TCU is 35th. UCF is 36th. We are 37th. And Baylor is 40th, and then it's Oklahoma State at 51, and then everybody kind of drops off from there. It's Kansas, Houston, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Iowa State, Kansas State, and Cincinnati. But that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in the top 50 basically in the country or in our conference, and then the teams that you're playing outside of that they're in like the top 100. Yeah. It's just a really, really great stacked soccer conference now. It was always good, but the new additions just made it great. And that's good for this team. I mean, last year, the reason we didn't make the tournament was RPI. We finished tied for second in our conference and didn't make the tournament. A lot of that was the non-con. We didn't have a lot of success there. We drew and lost some games. We conquered that this year. We're good. Now we just got to do work in conference and come out and make the tournament. But it all starts now. So Houston, I'm excited. I don't know if you're able to make it there in person this week, you said, but everybody else, get to the game, be loud, rowdy, all the things, and get us that W before they head on over to Austin for a tough one. But I don't know, man. I got good feelings in my bones. I got good feelings in my bones about it.
Hey, and you know what? Your bones might be telling you some good information.
I might just be old, but
you might just be a Red Raider fan. Honestly, like that optimism. I'm here for it. But yeah, you're right. Texas is going to be next on our list. They'll have a good break in between Houston and playing Texas, which is kind of nice. But they will be playing in Austin September 21st. That is a Thursday at 7 p.m. I definitely know of some Red Raiders there in Austin, so y'all go make it trouble for the Longhorns to focus. But so Texas is I mean, it's always going to be a fun matchup, Texas Tech and Texas, and we should cherish it while we have it. This rivalry that we've known to love. But Texas, as far as their season so far, they're 6-1-1. And when you dive into their schedule, it is interesting, kind of comparing it to us and who we've played so far. Some teams that I guess, that we can make some notable comparisons or notable wins. They played Rice, ended up winning 6-0. They lost to LSU 1-3, and they've played Utah, River, or what is it?
Utah Rio Grande Valley's.
That's right.
Or something.
Yeah, that
they haven't.
Teams like that, Iona.
They haven't really been tested, but like you said, I guess we don't play them Sunday. We play them the next Thursday. We'll know more about Texas by the time we play them.
Yes,
so
we will.
That's a good advantage for us. Is they'll play. Because it seems like the teams that they've played that have been good, they've either drawn with them or they lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the teams that have been horrible, they've just absolutely demolished.
Yes. Which, I mean, makes sense, right?
Yes, they're a good offensive team.
You're totally right.
And defensively, apparently.
Yeah, right. The shutouts are shutouts. They played Gonzaga. They were number 23 at that time. That was yesterday, Sunday, and they tied them 0-0. So you're right. Some of maybe the higher talent, higher caliber teams are where they're getting those draws, but they will play Baylor this Thursday. So that'll be a good test too. Baylor, not awful.
Nope.
Baylor, I think, they won against Oklahoma. So just some Big 12 or whatever it is these days.
They've already played Oklahoma?
Yeah, they had an exhibition against Oklahoma.
Oh.
Yeah,
odd.
So I guess we aren't really counting those real things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be interesting for us and see how they stack up against Baylor before we see them. But yeah, it's a classic Texas team. Texas has been good for a while, so just toppling over the Queen. They have some great players, some high goal scorers with Lexi Missimo and Trinity Byers.
Bowers. Isn't it an O?
No,
O-W-E-R?
just some A's in there. But
okay.
you know how great I am with names. But those are the ones that I'm looking forward to that I think are going to be causing our problems. They have a really great goalkeeper as well, as one does with a program like this, like Texas. Yeah, so we have some time until we play Texas, but I am always down for that rivalry. Like I said, as long as we got it, I'm going to hang on to it. So that'll be another game for us to look forward to.
We'll hype it up next week, too, because we'll obviously be able to record, hopefully, a win from Thursday's game. We'll be talking about that next Monday. And then also we'll hype it up again because there's a lot of you Red Raiders in Austin. Maybe we can get our fearless leader, Maddie, down there in Austin to go to the game. But we'll lead a charge and get a lot of Red Raiders there, hopefully, and cheer them on. So good stuff to look ahead. Start planning for that trip if you live in Austin. September 21st in Austin, night game. Get there, wear your red, horns down, all the things. Let them know. Plan, but put it on your calendar now.
Let's go. Tech Soccer undefeated.
Yeah.
Love y'all. Keep going.
Let's
keep going great.
Thursday, get a break, regroup, go at it again. So
yeah.
Moving on from one football to the other football, y'all. I get it because we lost to Wyoming, but I feel like the discourse would be a lot different right now if we had beaten Wyoming and then barely lost to Oregon. But that's not what happened. So fair on people to be some people to be very upset right now, which I'm like, we almost beat Oregon. I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I get it. Maybe I just have a little bit different perspective than others, but I'm like, we're not Bama, but I also didn't drink the Kool-Aid this summer that we were gonna be Bama right off the bat, and I think maybe people read into that a little more than they should have, or maybe we shouldn't have talked so much in the media, but that's recruiting, so I that's what Joey has to do. But we're very close to being a 2-0 team, but we're not, and close only doesn't count in anything, right?
Doesn't.
So unfortunately we're 0-2 heading into a Tarleton game, which by God should just be therapy. We'll get into that in a minute. I thought we played really well against Oregon. We dominated that game for stretches. The third quarter, Oregon did not score. They have a high-powered offense. We saw that early. And then we just we had their Heisman quarterback, which I'm not a huge believer in. But anyway, Bo Nix looking scared back there. Like, he was terrified in that third quarter. You could see the fear in his eyes in the close-up shots that they were putting on TV. And then credit to him, that drive that they got to end the third quarter and start the fourth quarter was I think that was the game-changing drive. We had gone down to go ahead by 9 or 9+, and they scored that touchdown to get it back close. I think that was the turning point in the game more so than anything, and that's credit to Oregon. Obviously, the turnovers, we just can't have that. Like, you can argue a lot of things. You can't have 4 turnovers in a game from your quarterback. Right. I thought Shuck played pretty well, actually, and I know that I learned a lot about a lot of people on Twitter about how much they do not know about football this weekend, and I've just stopped trying to interact with them. There's a lot of people that don't understand why we're running Tyler Shuck so much. It's what Tyler Shuck does well. What did we tell y'all last week? If Tyler Shuck is your starting quarterback, he has to run the ball, otherwise he does not need to be your starting quarterback. Because that is what he does well. And if you're not going to let him do that, you need to start someone else. We let him do that, and he did it well. And all this discourse about him, like he's not a running back, he is.
Yeah.
So I think people need to.
Why not?
Like, that discourse needs to stop. It's a moot point. Yeah. That had nothing to do with the game. Everyone's like, why are we running Shuck so much? Because that's what he does well.
Yep. What
he doesn't do well is sometimes think. He thinks too long. When he's not thinking, boy, that guy is great. Those drives where he's just going down on rhythm, one step throw, or take off, one step run, throw. Our offense was unstoppable. Like that drive right after half, which is very similar to the drive to start the game. He had a whole halftime to think about. They probably scripted the plays. They talked about it. He didn't have to think. Sports psychology. That's my thing with him is like when he has to think in the moment, he struggles. He hesitates. That might be a collarbone thing from his injuries. I don't know what's going on. He hesitates. He doesn't have the zip on his throws to hesitate. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He can't get away with that and throw it late. And so he throws it late, and either it's just incomplete or it gets intercepted on one of them. So that's my thing with him. If he's going to continue to be your starting quarterback, I think you can win with him. People are like groaning in the audience right now. But if they choose to stay with him, you run him like you did. Everybody needs to y'all need to wake up. That's what he does. Right. Get over that. And you need to he needs to be smarter. A lot of it is on him, and he knows that. That fumble and 2 of his interceptions were absolutely unacceptable from a 5th-year senior, 6th-year senior, 6th-year senior. Absolutely unacceptable, and he just got to stop being a hero. If he just game manages it, we win that game. Our defense is good enough this year. He runs the ball, makes the plays when he can, take a sack or throw it out of bounds. We don't got to score on every drive. I think if he is, I don't know if he's going to continue being the quarterback. Oof. I think he will. I don't think McGuire is going to yank him. I just don't think that for team morale. Now, I think his leash is like non-existent now. If he goes out and struggles against Tarleton State, Morton's coming in that game real quick.
Sure.
But I don't know. We'll see. But I love Baron Morton. I do. But I think Tyler Shuck, if he's going to be QB1, I think they let him do what he does a lot better in that game, which was encouraging. Turnovers got to stop. Just stop trying to be a hero. And Tyler Shuck can be a winning quarterback. The concern is he's a 6-year senior and he's still making those mistakes. And so it's like, can old dogs learn new tricks? We'll find out if he's going to continue being the starting quarterback. He has talent. He has things he does well. He just needs to do those well and stop trying to do other things well. I think it's one of those, it's a tough thing to learn as an athlete, but you have to know what you're good at and stick to what you're good at. And that's how you can be great. And so we'll see if he can do that. If not, we have a talented guy behind him, and we'll see if he gets time. I would expect either way, Baron Morton's playing against Tarleton, because either we're blowing them out so much, he's coming into the game, or we're not blowing them out, and he's coming into the game. You know what I mean? So Baron Morton stands. You're going to get to see your guy. My one thing on that is I love Baron Morton. I got his jersey in I love the guy. But I'm a Texas Tech fan. Right. So, like, this whole people picking sides on Twitter is weird to me. Like, I'm a Tyler Shuck guy or I'm a Baron Morton guy. I'm a Texas Tech gal. You know what I mean? I'm going to cheer for whoever's QB1. I can have my thoughts on who it should be. I'm going to cheer for whoever it is. So I think we need to be smart about how we talk about that. And root for it. There was people actively rooting against Shuck the other night because they wanted to see somebody else in there. And I don't understand that. But I think either way you're going to see the backup play. I totally understand the argument that it's time to see what we do or don't have in him. But I just don't know that this staff is one that's going to yank a 6-year senior that almost beat number 13 Oregon that quick. The 4 turnovers is absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable. And it has to be fixed. Something tells me they're going to give him another chance to fix it. But we'll see. I wouldn't be shocked either way. But I don't think it's as clear as a lot of people seem to think that he's done. I just don't think that's true.
Right. Yeah. I think going into that football game, because that's not really where I spend a lot of my sport energy. So walking into it, I was like, oh, this feels very obtainable. I don't feel like Oregon's too far away from us.
What a wild feeling to have.
Yeah, I know. I think that's maybe, if you don't pay attention to it, you feel a lot more optimistic.
No, I mean, I do pay attention, and that's how I felt. I said last week, I think we'll be in this game in the fourth quarter. 3 years ago, I would have been like, we're going to lose by 500.
Oh, yeah. And when I was walking into the Jones, I heard some, Tech fans, they were like, yeah, we're going to get our ass kicked. This is going to be a blowout. And I was like, I really don't think so. I'm just an ignorant, I think it's going to be awesome. And I mean, honestly, it was. And I ended up sitting next to the Oregon, section, I guess, or a lot
There's
of them.
A lot of their fans.
There's a flock. There was a flock next to me. But I ended up talking to this one guy who was sitting right next to me, and he was an older guy, Oregon. And I was like, what's your affiliation? He's like, yeah, I went to school at Oregon, and we pick an away game to travel to every year, and we had to come to Texas Tech. And I was like, I love this. Tell me why you said you had to come to Tech. And he was like, we have heard about y'all, or we know about Lubbock, and it's just how powerful this place can be and what it can do. And I loved hearing that from an outsider perspective. And I think that's very important for us to have now, kind of like what you were talking about. We can talk about who we want in the game or whatever, but there has never been a coach that's like, you know what, I saw this tweet about putting in Barron, and you know what, we're gonna take that user, what is it, at user 1234,
doesn't even have a profile picture.
Yeah, we're putting him in, you know what I mean? And so choose, you have two choices. You can choose to be grumpy and upset and really dive into that, or Shelby, what is Tyler knows how to run. If he's going to be our running back, cool, that is what is reality. It helps us get to the first down. That's the whole goal of a running back, whatever. And then the other part of it is, like you said, the narrative could be so different if we beat Wyoming, if we lost to Oregon, whatever, the narrative would be totally different. What's really cool about Tech, and I know y'all have it in you, is we will root to be the underdog until the day we die. Lean into it. Let's do that.
It's funny though, because I think the outside perception of Texas Tech right now is a lot higher than Texas Tech fans, outside of UT fans who don't think about us at all. They talk about all the time how they don't even know who we are, but by God, we've gone 0-2, and they will not shut up about it on Twitter.
Oh, no.
Rent-free in their heads. It makes me laugh. But anyway, the outside perception from other college football analysts and teams is Texas Tech seems like a pretty good team because we almost beat number 13, but our fans are so wrapped up in the fact that we're 0-2. And I am not someone that's going to take moral victories all the time. And listen, we should be 2-0, and that is frustrating. That's the frustrating part. It's not like we played our best games ever and we lost because we're just not there yet. We are there. And we made a couple of interesting coaching decisions that fourth down, but I actually kind of agree with the call. I just wish there's a lot of discourse about that, about how we shouldn't have gone for it on 4th and 2 at our own 35. That's what we do. My complaint with that call was either Shuck should have been given, and if he was given, he should have checked out of it, because I was like, oh, we're going to do quarterback draw. Like, I was like, that's the call here.
Right.
And then
That's
you
what
get
works.
to the line of scrimmage and you see it. Even I'm like, oh, no, check out of it. Because they knew it was coming. They had all 11 dudes at this line of scrimmage. And that's where you like slip a tight end out. There should have been some sort of check call off of that he could have done. But listen, I'm not a football coach. That's just what I'm seeing. And that's the only complaint about I have about that is if it's either on Shuck or it's on the coaches. If they didn't give him a second call to check to, that's on the coaches. If they did give him one and he didn't make that read and he just wanted to play hero ball, which was his problem with the interceptions, and try to run the 14 guys over, that's my only complaint with that call, was not the choice to go for it, but the play itself should have been checked out of. But there was some interesting coaching decisions otherwise, which we have a young staff, they're learning. And the turnovers. If we don't turn it over, we win that game. It just is what it is. It's not being critical of our quarterback. He'll tell you the same thing. He played a pretty good game outside of the turnovers, but those turnovers are huge. And if he does that again, he's done. I'm telling you right now. I don't know but his leash is very short.
It's hard to.
But he also, if he does what he did against Oregon without the turnovers, we could win the Big 12. So that's where the thing is.
Exactly.
So I also think Kitley has to learn how to I had this conversation with someone on Twitter who was not a big Shuck fan, but I was like, I think the problem is fans at Tech are just used to the flashy gunslinger type quarterback, and that's not Tyler Shuck. I think Kitley doesn't really know how to call plays with the Tyler Shuck because he's young too. And I do think Kitley fits Baron Morton a lot better, and he calls plays better for a quarterback like that, which maybe that's a conversation that coaches need to figure out. Like, if that's true, then why is he not the quarterback, or why are we not adjusting? But I thought the play calling was a little bit better for Shuck in the Oregon game, but there needs to continue. You got to let the guy run. They did that. You got to give him stuff where he doesn't have to think as much. That sounds mean, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that are the same way. He has the skills. He just doesn't have the zip to sit there and think too long. He needs to just get it out and do his thing. So it's there if they're going to continue to roll with him. But I do think the leash is pretty short, and he would probably tell you, like, he knows that. He can't turn it over 4 times. That's unacceptable from a 6-year senior, and that's the part that has to change. And I am choosing to be confident that the coaching staff will make those changes, even though it will be a tough change to make in the locker room. I think they'll make it if it comes to it. Or Shuck is just going to go off, and either way, it's a good thing, y'all. Like, we need to start cheering for the Red Raiders and not for players that you like or don't like. Oh my gosh,
please don't let us do that. Either
he's going to take us to the promised land, or you're going to get to see
yeah.
your beloved backup quarterback. So
right.
just go for it.
Yeah, I think I think it was a great game. I think also on the flip side of that too, of the atmosphere, like you were talking about earlier, y'all, the new lights in there are cool.
Worth every penny?
Worth every penny. I was talking to my Oregon friend and he was like, yeah, I've never seen like anything like this in person. This looks really, really good. And so like the game started before the sun was down, right?
Yeah,
so
it was an early
I was
game
a little bit
6 o'clock.
Yeah, I was a little worried. I was like, we might not even see these puppies in the full what all they can really do. But after halftime they had a longer TV break and there was a point where all the lights were red. Oh my goodness. It was a really, really cool experience. So I think like that is going to keep the energy up, is like those upgrades and how much of an impact it has. It really changes the dynamic. And I don't know. I think like a lot of how we played was in our identity and how we love to see Tech play, like going for it on 4th down and like doing some of those high risk things. And like it even was a statement, in my opinion. I don't know if it was in the first or second quarter, but Tech scored and we tried to match that 2-point conversion and we didn't get it.
I didn't agree with that. We were chasing that point all game. If not for that pick 6.
Yeah,
we would have been winning at the end of the game. Or it would have been tied, and we wouldn't have had to get the pick 6. Gonna go to overtime. But I get it. If it worked out, it would have worked out.
It would have, and I think it was like Joey's like, okay, we're gonna play that kind of ball too, or
live and die by it. You gotta respect it, you know.
Yeah, if anything, we matched that really competitive, really good Oregon team. And I don't know, that to me, I know we lost.
Positive
but
vibes. Positive vibes.
There's so many wins of that. So
yeah, and I get it.
Yeah.
People are frustrated. We've been told for a decade, like at 15 years, that this is the year we're going to be good again, and I totally understand that. Like, it's frustrating, but I think maybe it's because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan that I'm so used to being like, just not believing the hype. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of Texas Tech fans maybe aren't Dallas Cowboy fans, I guess, and like all this hype this summer was like, oh my God, we actually are good. Me as a Cowboys fan, I'm like, I don't believe it until I see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, didn't they win like 1,000,000-0 last night?
Yeah, even now I'm like, everyone's like, this is the best defense in the history, and I'm like, well, let's see next week.
All right, I like it.
I'm like, we won 40-0, and I'm like, well, that was cool. I'm not like jumping off the chair about it. That's my indifference that I've gained. But yeah, so I think Tarleton State, it's a good chance to have therapy one way or the other. Things will be learned in that game. I still think Shuck will start. Either way, Morton should play. Let's put it that way. Because it should be well out of hand. Well, the game should be over by halftime, and Morton should get the whole second half.
Right.
Or it's way closer than it should be, and Morton comes in earlier. So let's just put it that way. I am choosing to be positive and say we're going to be up like 30-0 at halftime, and he can just roll out there in the second half. Cool random storylines. I don't know if he's healthy, but Corey Eakin has been hurt for the first 2 games of the year. When it was announced he was hurt in the preseason, he got hurt in practices, they said 2 to 3 games, and that the Tarleton State game might be when he makes his debut. He's a receiver for us, sophomore. I know this because I'm from Comanche, Texas. I'm from Central Texas. Corey Eakin's from Stephenville, Texas, where Tarleton State University is. Okay. He won a state championship for Stephenville. It's a huge football town. The Bryles are from there, but anyway, that's a negative now. But anyway, he won a state championship there. He has a lot of teammates probably on that Tarleton State team, so it'd be cool for him to make his debut. When Baron Morton gets in the game, again, he's going to play one way or the other in this game. He's actually from West Texas. People don't give Baron Morton credit, but he played high school ball and lived the majority of his life in Eastland because his dad is a head football coach, got a job there. Eastland's also in that Central Texas area, so he probably knows a lot of these players that are on Tarleton State's team. Yeah. Him and Corey are tight from back in the day. Anyway, I just think that's a cool storyline that in the second half maybe Corey gets to go at it against a lot of his high school teammates being from Stephenville. A lot of his family and stuff are probably going to travel up for the game. A lot of his teammates and all that, I'm sure, are going to be there. And I'm hoping he's healthy and gets to play. I don't know. I know they said, I don't know how his recovery's been going. But when it was announced, Joey said he'll be back after 2 or 3 games. So either the Tarleton State or the West Virginia games. So I'm hoping for his sake. I know he wants to play in this game because of that connection that other people don't have. His dad is also the head coach of the rodeo team at Tarleton, which is a really well-known, nationally known and national power when it comes to rodeo.
This checks out, and it even more checks out that this random story.
Yes, I know this. Fun facts about Corey Eakin. Last year in the bowl game, we were at the Texas Bowl, right? And so at the Texas Bowl, they have the rodeo showdown thing on Friday night where the teams go against each other. Yep. I think we might have talked about it on the episode, but Corey was the one that had to do the roping against the Ole Miss player.
Had to, yeah.
Yeah, he got voted. He probably could have done every event and just won it for us, but the video always cracks me up because he literally knows how to rope. So he's easy running his slack and everything perfectly, one swing done. And you don't even know what I'm talking about. But anyway, Ole Miss player's tangling himself, and he just looks over at Corey what the
hell was that? Yeah.
And the announcer's yeah, well, it's a little unfair.
That's right. Yeehaw.
So anyway, that's a storyline I'm trying to be positive here that we're looking to, that hopefully we get to see play out because we're so far ahead that we get Corey in there. He's also a really good player and would have been probably one of our well-used receivers by this point if not injured. So we'll see if he can get into the game and get healthy for Big 12, and lots of players should get a chance to play in this game. Tarleton's not a bad program, but they're very recently D1. I think last year was their first year being D1. They're a growing program. They've been D2 for my entire existence. As growing up, that was the closest university to me, and they were always D2, but they recently made the jump to D1. So they're trying to build their program.
Yeah.
But they got like murdered by TCU last year, I think, and now they're playing us. So, yeah, we need to workshop over them and work some demons out going into Big 12 play. Please,
work some demons out. I'm looking
I'll
forward
be
to
real.
that.
I'm not even talking about it. We'll get to that if it happens, but hopefully we have happy things to talk about next Monday.
I think we will. And even more so, some happy things. And we were talking about like the atmosphere and things like that. We had some recruits on campus for the game, and I guess maybe for the weekend. Who did we have?
Give us list it off, because we could spend whole episodes, but we won't. But I'll give you the list of women's basketball recruits. It was a huge weekend. Obviously, the headliner, hometown gal, Aaliyah Chavez, was in the house for her unofficial, not her official visit. She can still do that down the road. I'm sure she's taken a lot of unofficial visits to Texas Tech. But
I bet she is.
This was what our team was dubbing Prospect Week.
Okay.
Prospect Weekend. So there was a lot more players that I've seen tweet out since this game, like graphics of them being there that are even on this list. But these are the ones that were announced by the team prior to put out to the media by the team prior to it happening. Was obviously the number one player in the class of 2025, Lubbock native Aaliyah Chavez.
Let's go.
Point guard, generational talent. We all know the things. She's going to be a program changer for wherever she goes. And obviously we are doing what we can to get her to stay in Lubbock and
get
win
us
that
another
natty.
one of these. I want another hat.
There's some other that's going to be a big class. She's not going to be alone in that class when she commits. We're going to be positive about it. But obviously we're fighting off the country for all the blue bloods that are coming after her, including in-state. Texas is very high on that list for her. So we got to fight off them vaunted Longhorns. Ugh, gross. But also in town was our commit, Bird. Hopefully she was doing some recruiting herself.
Callista.
Getting those gals to join. She just keeps shooting up the ranks. She's a 4-star right now, but she's up to like 60th or something in the country for the class of 2024. Long, lanky, late riser. Wasn't even in the top 100 until like a week after we got her commitment. And she's, like I said, up to 60 now. And she's just
popping off.
A late bloomer, and she is continuing to get better, and that's the kind of player you want versus the opposite, where they were been ranked since they were 12 and they've just kind of stayed there. She is growing, and she can shoot. She's like 6'1", kind of like a Bren type that could just shoot it from deep and take someone. She plays like center for her team because she's tall, but she's actually a guard, so she's blocking shots. So she's really good. She's already committed. I am patiently awaiting signing day, but she seems very firm in her, like she's a big Red Raider fan on Twitter, so I think she's true, and I'm sure this weekend only helped with that. She got to see the atmosphere. 2025 4-star wing Aaliyah McDowell, number 28 in the class of 2025. You're going to see a lot of 2025 in this group. Again, we have lots of space in that year, and we could be bringing in some big ones. We already talked about Avery last week. She was not here on this visit. I think she had some games or something. I saw her tweeting. She couldn't come. But 2025 4-star Taylor Barnes out of Grand Prairie, the 50th ranked player in the class of 2025, was there. Let's just bring them all. Why don't you just all come?
VIP.
Imagine if you all showed up. Natty. 2026 5-star guard Bella Flemings. She's currently a top 15 player, but she's one of those that could be top player in the class by the time we get there. Interestingly enough, her brother, I think it's Fletcher, her brother is a class of 2025 4-star player on the men's side. He was in town for the Red Raiders. Get the brother-sister duo. And then there was, I think Bella Chavez, I'm pretty sure Aaliyah's younger sister, class of 2030, was in town. I'm sure she's going to be a baller, but she's a little younger. And then a lot of others I saw, like Peyton Cottle and Riley Segura tweeted. Just those are 27 and 28 prospects, just some down the road prospects. But the big ones are those class of 2025. Circle that in your calendar. That is going to be no matter who ends up joining, because I'm very confident Gerlich will get dogs in that class. She has a huge roster space to work with.
Yeah.
There's going to be, I would be shocked if there's not multiple top 100 players in that class. We'll see if you get the, your number one player in town. But again, you can still do big things if we can't do that. But I'm never counting Gerlich out on a recruiting
No,
I think she's
not
proven
even
that.
close.
I know there's a lot of people that think we have no shot because she's going to get the UConns and the Texas and all these offers. I get it, but I never count Curlick out when it comes to recruiting. So
Never.
that one I'll just be watching until it's over. But I'm excited no matter what because you got Avery and all these people that we listed here. There's so many good players that can come in this class, and they got a show. So it was a really important weekend for them. Men's basketball had a long list in town too. And a lot of sports did, and football as well had a lot of players in town, and that was a good showing despite what fans some fans, most of them are positive, but some fans seem to think online it was a good showing for all those sports and recruits to have on campus for that week.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where we get to show up too, and like show them what it's like to play a top talent in Lubbock, and I think it was a great game to have that, and even more so, I didn't have service in there, as I'm sure y'all noticed.
Lies,
on Instagram.
because they
did they finally go through
off season.
Oh.
No, they talked all off season about some of the additions being cell phone towers.
Oh shoot! Well, maybe it's my service. I don't know. Anyway, but they had a ad for Texas Tech women's basketball season tickets, which in passing, if you don't think about it, but like that's really huge for them to have that publicity.
Yeah.
And again, y'all get your season tickets, $80. They're starting at $80 for the season.
There's no reason to even buy single tickets. Like you buy
it's out of
8
convenience
games and
alone.
you're there?
Ugh. I did it last year when I got here in January, and it was a nightmare. Just get the tickets. Anyway, but yeah, that's really exciting for them to get a little slice of the 806.
Not too far. Less than a month away, y'all. Less than a month away from men's and women's basketball.
Oh my God.
We'll be having some guests. It sounds like we'll preview that.
We
we'll
do
tease
have
that.
some.
But we have some women's basketball guests. Hopefully, can join in the show soon.
It's gonna be a good
that
one.
Worked out. And we will hopefully continue to do that and to promote them, just like we have the other teams and had some volleyball players leading up to their season, and obviously soccer. And we're going to do that with them as well, doing what we do. And then we're getting close, y'all. It's going to be a wild time once November gets here. Lots of sports to cover, but we are prepared for it.
We are. We have been, And speaking of, we're still not done with the list. Last but not least, we got volleyball coming up. What were you able to gather on volleyball? What they got going on?
Man, I've been missing volleyball.
I know.
We
had
I haven't
a
watched
ton
volleyball.
and then nothing. Y'all can't do that to us.
They're killing us, man. Withdrawal. No, they're back. They've had 10 days off, and they're going over to Dallas for the SMU Doubletree Invitational. I believe it's going to be on SMU's campus, I assume. It's hosted by SMU. And it's some solid competition on paper. The names sound good. They've up and down teams, but you're going to get to play SMU on Friday at 7. Be there. Saturday at 2 is LSU, and Sunday at 3 is Texas A&M Corpus Christi. All three teams are solid. We have a huge alumni base in Dallas. We know this. If you're listening to this, get to these games. It's going to be good. I think SMU is having a red out on Friday. I don't know if they really thought that through, or maybe they did think that
Thank
through.
you.
I know that red's one of their colors, but why not do a blue out or something?
Right. I mean, you're playing the Red Raiders.
But they might know that our fan base is really dominant, and they just want it to seem like they did it on purpose when there's so much red in the stands. Could be a strategic move. But anyway, go to the game, yell Raider power. SMU is 3-5, but they've played a really hard schedule.
Really?
Everyone they've played has been impressive. They've been doing these tournaments and invitationals, but they've been big ones. They traveled up to Nebraska, which is packed stands. They lost in 3 sets, but they've lost to number 5 Nebraska, number 20 Purdue, and number 21 Houston, as well as Auburn and Utah State. Those are their 5 losses. They've beaten number 15 Baylor and Florida State, and then some random team. But everyone they've played played a lot of Power 5 teams. They're a good 3-5. So they will not be intimidated by playing a Power 5 Texas Tech. Let's put it that way. They're not going to see Texas Tech and be like, oh, this is our Super Bowl. They've played plenty of Super Bowls already from that standpoint. And they're a solid team. But that is why this is a good chance for us to get back on track.
Yes.
Having stumbled recently, I think maybe we'll get up for these games a little bit more than we were against these lesser opponents. And it'll be a fun weekend, because then you also have LSU. It's never a bad thing to play LSU. It sounds cool. It sounds fun, kind of like when we played Notre Dame. They're
right.
3-4 on the season. They're kind of up and down, similar to us. They split with UCLA early in the year. They lost to number 20 Creighton, and then their most recent match, similar to us, was like a loss to like a lower division team or a lower conference team in southeastern Louisiana, on Sunday or something. They lost to them, so very similar to us. They have some seniors, but their leader in kills is a freshman. Okay. Journey Robinson with 122. She's pretty athletic. She's 6'1", can get up there. Yep. And kind of Bryn Taylor-ish, can really zip them
that's
down.
What I was hearing.
So, yeah, similar play to her. So I think we're kind of similar teams in that have a little bit of senior leadership, but a lot of our better players or leaders in categories outside of like Duggan and Rhodes is freshmen, sophomores for Texas Tech. I think it's similar for LSU. So that's going to lead to up and down moments where you beat a UCLA and then you lose to a southeastern Louisiana. Right. Just like we have beat a Notre Dame, Wichita State, and then we lose to an ACU, UNT. So it's a good chance for us to get back on track. And then Texas A&M Corpus Christi, 5-4, haven't really played anybody. They didn't. Their most recent match, they actually lost to UT Rio Grande Valley. They're really good at beach volleyball. I know that much about them. I think they won the conference in that, which tracks playing on the beach, playing on the island. Out there, they live on the island of Corpus Christi. So that makes sense. And so I'm sure they have kind of like prototypical volleyball players on their team, looking gals, but they haven't played anybody yet. So we'll find out. This is a big weekend for them to get to play LSU, SMU, and us. For them to get a test in. So yeah, if you're a Red Raider, get in there. Even the Saturday games at 2, you can watch that and then get home in time to watch Texas Tech play Tarleton that night, because that's not till night. So you can go to all 3 games, pick a game, do your thing. It's a good thing. Take the family and show out and get these girls back on track before they start conference after this invitational. And it's a tough Big 12 conference in volleyball, just like soccer. So they got a lot of tough ones ahead of them. So it'd be nice to get back on track, and I think they're capable of it. They have the players. They just the mojo. They just look tired. We talked about it last episode. They're not going to be tired now. They're well rested, and we'll get to see them show out, I think.
And I think when we were debriefing after their long stint of play, it was a lot of challenges and things that could be cleaned up. Like the serving. I'm hoping that we did some practice in
10 days of practice just serving.
Maybe that was the goal, but that break was really helpful, and some of the challenges that we've discussed I think are easily improvable
behind us.
And we can improve on throughout the season.
Maybe is her name Madison O'Brien? Is that her name? O'Brien. Courtney O'Brien's been playing, but her older sister hasn't played yet this season, right? She's been injured, and they keep saying she's going to play, and she still hasn't. So maybe after this 10 days she can come out.
Let's see.
And make her season
that'll be
debut,
cool.
unless she snuck into one of those games. I didn't get to watch those games, but so it'd be nice to get her back to be a contributor, get a little bit more veteran presence out there. So it'll be fun. Y'all tune in or go to the games. They'll all be streamed ESPN Plus, I believe. If you can't be there in person, we'll be doing what we do, covering the games, getting you to watch one way or the other. And the team does a good job putting out highlights, so we'll share them. But that's volleyball, and I mean that's sports for the week.
That's sports for the week.
That's sports.
Wow! And we did it. We've accomplished everything.
And that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. No, this is a great episode, and like what we've shared, there's a lot of we're kind of just at that fork in the road where we get to decide who we are in all of our sports, right? Like soccer's starting Big 12.
They're starting to
volleyball.
Show who they are. Now volleyball has a chance to do the same thing heading into conference.
Totally. So, make sure y'all are watching them. That means so much to these players if we're showing up and then following it up with us. So make sure you're subscribed, following us on social media. We're live tweeting usually during soccer and volleyball. So it's chaos, but it's fun. And we let you know when to tune in. So make sure y'all are following and subscribing to hear more about how all of our tech sports are doing. But until next time, y'all. Let's make sure to
come back with a lot of dubs.
Let's do
next
it.
Week.
Do it. Nothing else.
Team.
Wreck 'em.